Hi everyone and welcome back to the Learning Gardener. It is a very, very windy day in the garden, so we are just going to try and get as much done as we possibly can. It's probably not the best day to be spraying the mallow that have overtaken the strawberries and the blueberries, but I'm only spraying them with vinegar, so I'm not too worried about any spray getting transferred anywhere. The vinegar is a mix of double strength vinegar and dish soap, and the dish soap just helps the vinegar stick to the leaves and kind of smother them so that they can't photosynthesize well and they kind of burn and die off. You usually need to do multiple applications, and the mallow here is so bad and has just sprung up out of nowhere that I'm going to spray it a couple of times and then I'm hoping to smother it. I am going to lose one blueberry plant. The other two have died off, but that's just the way it's going to have to go to redeem that garden bed. The other thing I wanted to do today is to try and support a lot of our climbers. As we transition from winter to spring, we get a lot of wind, and we've got a 4-day forecast of very, very strong winds coming. So I wanted to get around and make sure that everything was suspended properly as much as is possible. Some of the sweet peas have kind of gotten a little bit out of control. We've had a lot of water, and now the weather is sort of warming up a little bit, and that means that all of a sudden everything's put on a ton of growth. And I've been down with food poisoning, and Rafa, my dog, has also on the exact same day been vomiting all over the house. So we both, were doing really, really well. And so we haven't been out in the garden for a little while. And things have just gotten a little bit out of control. And the sweet peas are a little bit fragile to try and pull back up towards the frame, so there's a limit to what I can do, but I want to try and do something so they don't break off in the winds. Generally, when we're getting spring winds, it's really common to have gusts of around 75 kilometers an hour. The last couple of days, we've had well over 100 kilometer hour gusts, so I'm always worried that we're going to have more trees down given the amount of rain we've had recently. These are all obviously jobs that needed to be done, but because I've been a bit man down and am still not feeling fabulous, these are good jobs for those sorts of days where you want to be outside in the sunlight, you want to feel productive, but you're also not really up to anything particularly major, digging-wise or hedging or anything like that. So it's nice to get these plants strung up, and these sweet peas have done unbelievably well. I have never really had much success with sweet peas before, only the odd spindly vine, but they have been growing so thickly. Mostly they aren't in bloom yet, but to the point where I feel like I wildly overplanted and did not need anywhere near as many as I planted. And this garden bed is a perfect example. It is like grown up and beyond the height of the support system. They're flopped over and there is absolutely nothing left for me to attach some of the vines to. So I'm just kind of having to let them fall and see where they go. I had underplanted these sweet peas with onions, thinking that I was just going to get the usual spindly vined sweet peas, but I don't even know if the onions still exist underneath there because the sweet peas have grown in so thickly, and I cannot for the life of me remember what any of the colors were that I planted. All I know is the ones that I was really keen on, the My Navy ones, and I wanted to have them all up and down the center arbors of the garden. They all died except for like 3, so it won't be as spectacular as I was hoping down the center aisle of the garden, but I've got something else planned for that once I get these all strung up and supported. But you can see just how windy this day is, and it's only really just getting going. The other thing I wanted to make sure was nice and solid and protected was the combination of, I think, sugar snap peas and purple climbing peas. They lost their labels in our wind, so I can't remember what I planted, but my other peas got destroyed in the last lot of wind we had, so I need to protect the only ones I have. And I also thought it's time to start the spring climbers. I want to get these going mostly down around the chickens early so that they can have some stuff to munch on that distracts them from the hydrangeas as the hydrangeas come out of dormancy. And obviously, if I can get some early cucumbers and things like that, that would be great. The other thing I am sowing today is some pumpkin seeds and things like spaghetti squash and Queensland blue pumpkins, and one of the actually both of the things that I am growing for fun this year. Last year I grew tromboncino squash for giggles and loofahs just to see what that was like. The loofahs are still sitting on the deck waiting for me to deal with them, and at some point I will get there. But the Big Max pumpkin is supposed to be a giant pumpkin, which I feel like is going to be amusing to grow. So that is one of the things that I am growing. And the other thing I'm growing just for fun is a gourd that you leave on the vine to fully dry out, and then it becomes hollow and you can use it as a drink bottle. I like to grow something just for amusement's sake every year, just to try something different. Queensland blue pumpkins are a favorite of mine and my friends, so we're growing more of these. And I want to grow quite a large number of these this year because they had a very, very, very thick and extensive vine. So I'm thinking that growing these so they grow up and over the chicken coop might be the perfect climber to have for the chicken coop, because it'll provide a lot of shade coverage as we go into summer, and in the afternoon the chicken coop's going to get quite a lot of sun. And also, if the vine grows as thickly as it did last year, it'll also provide some rain coverage for them. I want to try spaghetti squash again. I tried it the first year in this garden 2 seasons ago, but I didn't get round to planting it till super late at the end of summer. I did get 2 spaghetti squash, but I kind of forgot about them and they died before I could try them. So it's time to try that again, and today was a perfect day to just quickly sow a couple of seeds, especially in these milk cartons. These are perfect to protect my larger seeds like the pumpkin seeds, the sweet pea seeds, the peas, things like that, that our local wildlife gets stuck into the second you plant them. So these zucchini seeds you see in this tray, I'd run out of milk bottles. They are going to have to be covered at night, otherwise they will get chomped the first chance they get. The other thing I was wanting to do today that I thought would be a good low energy task was to try and use some of the fairy lights that I had bought for these center arbors. I still need to remove the old arbors and just have the Rio mesh arbors going down the center. But I really want to cover both of the front and the back Rio mesh arbor with fairy lights so that, especially in winter, there's something to look at as the days are a lot shorter and a lot darker comparatively. And I just love fairy lights. So I'm hoping that this is going to look amazing.
A new wind is blowing today. I think I can see the shore. It was so dark yesterday. I never did hope for more. And don't know what came over me the moment you caught my eye. I was alone on the sea, but never did find out why. You saw something there under deserted skies. I saw something there, out in the distance, a wing and a prayer to bring you home.
As usual, I'd been thwarted a bit by maths, and I had thought that seeing the arbor was 6 meters in length, if I got the 70-meter length of lights, that I would have, it would be nice and quick to just do 10 laps of the arbor, but it actually took forever, and I feel like I did way more than 10. I haven't actually counted them, but it was still probably a good idea to get the longer cord, just because you want a bit of coverage to actually make some impact. But there's just nothing better than fairy lights at night, even if it was a tangled, messy job and took way longer than I thought, because the bundle of lights came in 2 giant chunks and they just kept getting tangled on each other. Overall, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I wish they were a little bit brighter, but we don't have a lot of suburban light in the area that I live in, so at night it gets very, very, very dark. And that does make the twinkle lights both extra beautiful, but also a little bit less impactful potentially than in the city, but they look gorgeous, and I can't wait to do the other arbor. It was a perfect windy day task, and I hope you guys have enjoyed hanging out with us in the garden on this very, very blustery day, and hopefully we will see you soon again on The Learning Gardener. Thanks for watching.